quite a number of trucks that had entered, and now we are seeing those buses and trucks returning. I want to bring in now the Commissioner to speak to us about, of course, these operations that we're seeing here at the Weighbridge. What do they help with?
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Nobile. I think what we can agree on is that we are now on the second leg of the execution of our plan, and in the second leg we are effectively dealing with now the return. So what we have actually done here at the Weighbridge, this is our first roadblock from the port, and then from here there is another roadblock 10 kilometers from here, from the port into towards Musina, and then there is the third one that we have put just 30 kilometers after Musina towards Polokwane. So the purpose of the roadblocks is to make sure that we still do some further checks in all of the vehicles that comes from the port side, to make sure that everybody who indeed enters the country through the N1 corridor do have the requisite documentation, and they are indeed legitimate people to have crossed the port of entry and make sure that they go into the country illegally.
Well, Commissioner, we saw that you were already complaining about the fact that the second leg seems to be an issue because a lot of people try to push in without the correct document. Tell us about that.
So basically what we have started doing is we have deployed on the entrance gate from the Zimbabwean side. We call it the North Gate. So on that particular gate we have intensified the deployment of the border guards together with members of the South African Police Service. What they are basically doing there, they are actually making sure that only people that are having requisite documents are allowed to enter into the processing side, which is the actual port. So on that basis, we are starting to do some return, because there are some people who are trying to come through without documentation. So we return them even before they enter into the port. So that on its own, what it does, it actually helps us to start sanitizing the port of entry, and also to make sure that we don't allow people without documentation to enter our processing area and ultimately start kind of bribing our officials. So that is basically what we are doing. So we have returned some people up to this point, but at the end of the day, broadly, everything is still going according to plan.
And in terms of the numbers, because obviously there's people that have come through so far, tell me, how many people have you returned back home that have perhaps tried to do this?
Yeah, you see, now in terms of the numbers, we are busy collating those numbers, but in terms of from yesterday, as it were, there are some sizable number, but from here I'm going into the port for an official briefing, and that is where the ultimate reality of the figures will actually come through. But in terms of those that were able to come through from yesterday up to, day before yesterday, which is the first, and then yesterday up to night, we have processed around 25,000 people that had legally entered South Africa and then they've moved in. That one we do have because it comes out of the system. But those that we return, we count them manually because we don't allow them to enter and get to be processed per se, and that is why we return them ahead of time.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Well, that is Commissioner speaking to us in Paul, just telling us the process that's going to take place between now, of course, and a little later on. We understand that they're going to be watching this border very closely, mainly because of those people that do try to use it to come into the country illegally. But of course, we are going to get those numbers in terms of how many people have been blocked trying to do that a little later on. But at this point, over 20,000 people processed to have been coming into the country.
Very well, Nobile Madlala. Let's leave it there for now. Of course, we will continue to check in with you throughout the course of the day.